Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video tutorial, I will explain how to implement the CRUD functionality on a PostgreSQL database in Blazor application using Bootstrap modal popup. And here we got the final output. Right now in this table contains two records, Charan and Peter. If you check in our database, there is two records only, Charan and Peter. Let's insert a new record, ben b@gmail.com. The salary is 8,000. Click save. So here the ben details is inserted successfully. Let's check in our the PostgreSQL database also. Right now this table contains two records. Let's execute this command. We got a new record called ben is inserted successfully. Let's check the edit functionality. I want to edit the salary of this Charan is 50,000. Save. See, the Charan details has been updated successfully. Let's check in our database table also. So 50,000. Let's delete the record. Let's delete the record ben. See, ben has been deleted successfully. Let's check the output in our SQL Server database also. See, there is no ben here. Delete one more record. This time I want to delete edit Peter delete. See, the Peter has been deleted successfully. We'll check in our database also. Right now we got the Peter in our table. When I execute, there is no Peter in our table. That's it.
If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates.
Before creating a new Blazor application, first we'll create a new table in PostgreSQL database. I just logged into my PostgreSQL database. Notice in this pgAdmin, the root folder PostgreSQL 212. Let me expand this root folder. If you notice, the databases contains 3. Let me expand this one. Now let's create a new table in this Charan database. Let me expand this database first, as well as the schemas. In the schemas under public, there is a tables folder. Let me expand this tables folder. Right now this tables folder contains 9 tables. Now let's create a new table in this tables folder. Right click the tables, query tool. Now let's write the query to create a table. Create table, emp table. The table name is, let's add the columns in this table. The first column name is the emp id. I'm adding serial, which is the auto-generate column of this column, and I'm adding the primary key for this column. Then let's add the emp name, varchar, the data type is 150, email, varchar 150, and the last one is the salary I'm adding, is the integer type. Just for the demo purpose, I'm adding only few columns in this table. Let's execute to create this table. Click. Here I got a message query written successfully, which means it created the table in this tables folder. Now let's refresh this tables folder. Select the schemas, right click the mouse, refresh. Now notice here the tables contains now the 10, and here is our emp table. Let's browse this table. Right click the mouse, view / edit data, all rows, and here we got the results of the newly created table. emp table contains right now 0 rows. Now my aim is I want to implement the CRUD functionality, create, read, update and delete functionality in Blazor application using Bootstrap modal popup. So first let's create a new application in Blazor. For this video tutorial, I am creating a new Blazor application. File, New, Project. I am selecting the template Blazor app. Click Next. Let's give the proper project name is CRUD PostgreSQL Blazor. And I want to save this project in this core Blazor folder, which is in the D drive. Let's create this project. After that, we have to select the template the Blazor server app has chosen. Click Create. And here the application has been created successfully. Let me close this default window. Notice here in the project there is a Solution Explorer. Open that one. Here our project files and folders are added successfully. Now before implementing the CRUD functionality, first let's check the default basic output of our Blazor application. Run this app. And here we got our default output of our Blazor application, which contains at the sidebar we got some navigation links, above we got one navigation menu, and below that we got a razor component, which is an index razor component. Now my aim is on this razor component, I want to implement the CRUD functionality. So let's switch over to the coding part, stop debugging. Now first, when we want to connect to any database, we require the necessary databases packages. Here I want to connect to the PostgreSQL database. So let's install the necessary PostgreSQL database for the .NET Core Blazor application. Select the application name, right click the mouse, manage Nugget packages, go to browse and search for pgSQL Entity Framework Code PostgreSQL. This is a package I want to install. Click Install. OK. Accept the license. So notice here we got a green symbol, which means this package is installed successfully. Let's check in our project also. Notice in this project there is a dependencies folder. Expand that one. Now in this dependencies folder there is a packages folder which contains this package is installed successfully. After that we require the next package called Microsoft.Entity Framework Core. This is the package I want to install. Install. And then here the second package is also installed. Next we require the Entity Framework 6. The Entity Framework 6.mpg.sql. This DLL package I want to install. I have selected that one. Click Install. OK. Accept the license. And see here we got the icon here, which means this package is also installed successfully. Now here we got our 3 packages in this packages folder. Let me minimize this folder as well as the dependencies. Now let's close this Nugget package window. We don't require any more for this application. Now after installing the necessary DLL packages to our application, next I want to add one new class in this data folder. So first let's add a new class. Select the data folder, right click the mouse, add class. And the class name is the EMP class. And this class contains a properties, which means it's a simple POCO class. So here first add P, Alt Enter. Notice when I click Alt Enter I got some suggestions. Using system.component modal.data annotations, select that one. So we require this namespace to add this key. Then we require the properties, integer type, empid. If you check in our table, we have 4 columns: empid, emp name, email, and salary. let's add those out. Pop string ename emp name pop double tap string email, and the last one is a salary. After that, here I want to implement one new called table. So we require using system dot component modal dot data inheritance dot schema. Now let's add the table. The table function, first one is the string name. Here I am adding the table name. Our table name is emp table. Copy that one, paste here, comma, schema is equals to, again between double quotes, the schema here, if you check in our database, the schema is a public. So let's add that one, public. After that, we require one more class called dbContext class. Again, select the data folder, right click the mouse, add class. The class name is the application dbContext class, dbContext, and here we got our application dbContext class. Now first let's add using Microsoft.entityframe core. Then here dbContext. After that, let's create the constructor of this class. Inside this constructor, I'm adding dbContext options, application dbContext options column base options. Then in this class, I'm creating a new property for my table. Pop double tap. The data type is a DB set. Inside this DB set, the properties, the T-type elements we're getting from EMP class. And here I'm adding the property name is my table name. My table name is the EMP table. Copy that one and paste here. That's it. After adding the EMP class and application dbContext class in this data folder, next we require the connection string. So in Blazor application, we add the connection strings in the app settings.json file. Open that file. Now in this app settings.json file, let's add the connection string, connection strings, colon between curly brackets, comma, my connection, colon between double quotes. Now here I'm using the PostgreSQL database, so I require the data source of that PostgreSQL database. The first property, let's add the server, colon, the server name. If you want to find the server name of the PostgreSQL database in the databases, notice the PostgreSQL, the root folder, select that one, right click the mouse, then go to properties. Here check the second one, connection tab, click that one. Here you can find the server name, which is a host name, localhost, colon, and the next property is the port number, colon, no, it's not colon, it's equals to. Now the port number is 5432. Copy that one, paste here, colon. Now the next property is the database. Database is equals to, the database name is a Charan database. See here the Charan. So let's add that one, colon. Now we require the username and password of the SQL server. User ID is equals to, the username is Postgres. Here the Postgres, copy that one, and paste here, colon, and the password. Password is equals to password 123. That's it. After that, open Solution Explorer, startup.cs file. Let's inject the service here using Microsoft.Entity Framework Core. Then to inject the services dot add db context. In this add db construct, I'm adding the application db context class, my db context class here, then options dot use pgSQL is a method, configuration dot get connection string method. In this get connection string method, I'm adding my connection string name, which is my connection. Copy that one and paste here. That's it. We have inject our services also in this startup.cs file. Now in Blazor application, all the functionalities we have to add in the services. So let's add a new folder called services in our application. Select the project name by click the mouse, add new folder, and the folder name is the services. Inside this services folder, I am adding one new class called EMP service. And here we got our EMP service. Now in this EMP service class contains all the logic: create a table, display the records, update the records, and delete the records. So before that, we need to add the necessary namespaces using the CRUD PostgreSQL data, and here protected read only application db context underscore db context. Then let's create the constructor of this class. Inside this constructor, I am adding application db context underscore db. Then underscore db context is equals to underscore db. After that, I'm creating one new function to display the records from the database. Public list class. In this list class, I'm adding the EMP class get all employee EMP. This function return underscore db context dot, my table name is EMP table dot to list method. Next function to insert, to add a new records into a table. Public bool insert record EMP class pgAdd. Now in this function, I'm adding underscore db context dot EMP table dot add pgAdd. Once the record is inserted, we need to change this data, db context dot save changes method. Then this function return true. That's it. Now the third function I'm adding to edit the record. If we want to update the record, we need to get the record details, the particular employee record details. Public bool edit record to get a particular employee record. I'm using employee ID. With the help of employee ID, I'm fetching the particular selected record. EMP class, let's create an object for this emp class. No emp class. Then services, not services. Then underscore db context dot my table name dot first our default method lambda expression dot emp id is equals to double equals to, I'm adding this object emp id. That's it. And this one is like add, it's not boolean, it's emp class. This function done. Now the next function, we need to update the record. Public bool update record emp class is the update. Let's declare a variable emp record update. Update is equals to underscore db context dot emp table dot first our default function u dot emp id double equals to, here I'm adding ECU update this object dot emp id colon. Let's give the condition if emp record update is not equals to null, which means we form the record to edit emp record update dot emp name is equals to ECU update dot emp name emp record update dot email is equals to ECU date dot email emp record update dot salary is equals to ECU update dot salary. After that, we need to save the updated record underscore db context dot save changes method. Then else return false, and here return this function return true. Now the final one, the final function to delete a record. Instead of writing the same code, just copy this part and paste here. Instead of update record, the function name, we'll add the delete record. Let's change this object also, emp delete del. This one emp record del emp del, copy this one, paste here, paste here. We don't require these ones. We simply add underscore db context dot remove method. Inside this remove method, I'm adding emp record del. That's it. We have done the complete coding part in this service. To get all the employees, insert the new record, edit the record, update the record, and delete the record. Now let's call these services in the index Blazor component. Open Solution Explorer. In the application, there is a pages folder. Open that one, expand that one. Open index.blazor component. Now I'm deleting this default code. Here I'm adding one div tag, style, text align, center, add the h3 tag, CRUD operation, in PostgreSQL PostgreSQL database using Blazor with Bootstrap modal popup. After that, I am adding horizontal line. After the horizontal line, I am adding at code. Let's add the namespaces using my application name dot data at using my application name dot services, and let's inherit the service warning component base. Inside this component base, I am adding my service name, which is the EMP service. Now let's add this EMP service in this startup.cs file. In the startup.cs file, to add the service, we need to first add the namespace, my application name dot service folder, because my EMP service is inside the service folder. Now here I can add the services dot add scope. Inside the scope, I am adding my service name, which is a EMP service. Then again switch over to the Blazor component. Here I am adding the IList. Inside this IList, the type of elements we are getting from EMP class EC list. Then to display the records, to call the services, the get all employee service, here I am adding one function called protected override void uninitialized. Still this default line. Here I am adding, here I am calling my service EC list is equals to service dot get all EMP. That's it. Now after the horizontal line about the code, I am adding one table to display the data, and this table I am adding a class, the Bootstrap class table, tr table data, employee ID, td at, this one is not td, it's a ph. Table headers, first I am adding table headers, employee name, email and salary, and next tr. Before that, to add the table data from the database, I am using for each loop variable item in, I am adding this object EC list, double curly brackets, tr table data at item dot emp id, td at item dot emp name, td at item dot salary, email td at item dot salary. That's it. To display the records from the database in this table. Now we require one button control to add a new records. Now before adding the button control and pop-up functionality to insert the records, let's check the output, how it looks, the designing part on the browser. Let's run this application. And here we got our new output after adding this, the table and the header in the razor component. Now my next target is I will add one button control. When a user clicks that button control, I want to open a new pop-up window. Right now this table contains 0 rows. It's totally empty. Let's check the database. Cancel. Run this command. Right now this table contains 0 rows. So let's insert the new record in this table. First we'll add one button control at the top, button, the class is button primary, and the button name is add record. Let's check the new output after adding the button control. I'm restarting the browser, and here we got a new output, the add new record button control. Now when a user clicks this add record button, I want to open a new pop-up to insert the details. I want to display on the pop-up modal pop-up window. For that I'm using the Bootstrap functionality. Go to browser and search for getbootstrap.com. Visit the getbootstrap.com website. The getbootstrap.com website is the official website of the Bootstrap. All the components and tools from this Bootstrap is open source, so we don't require any license to use, and the version I'm using 4.5. Get started. Come to the components. Here in the components, search for the modal, and here we got the modal. Here you can find the different types of modals. For this example, I'm adding a simple modal. Let's copy this code, and this code is an example of this image, this pop-up modal image. Let's add here. Stop debugging. Here one important property I'm adding in this div modal, style display block. After that, come to the bottom. Here I'm adding here boolean pop-up is equals to false. The first one is void show pop-up true, and the next function close pop-up. When the user clicks this function, I want to hide the pop-up is equals to false. Now let's add this function show pop-up to this button control at click at on click is equals to I'm adding show pop-up. After that, here I'm giving the condition if pop-up let's copy this div and paste here. So here the condition is, if you notice here the condition I given if pop-up, inside this if condition I have added the modal pop-up window. So when a user clicks this record button control add record, I want to show this pop-up. So let's check the output. Run this example. Now when I use, let's click the button control. See we got the modal pop-up. Now we have not added the functionality to close the window. Let's do that one also. And here this button control is at on click is equals to close a pop-up. This is a function we need to add, close pop-up. And here also let's add this function, copy this one and paste here, and here also. Save changes. Don't require this one, two close buttons. Save. And here in the modal body, I'm adding the edit font because we are posting the data. Modal is equals to, here the modal is, let's create a object for this EMP class. EC object is equals to new EC EMP class. Void insert record. To insert the record, EC object dot EMP ID is equals to 0, then service dot insert record, the service name. Inside this function I'm adding EC object. Now let's add this function insert record function name. Here at on valid submit. I'm adding the insert record. Here the modal is this object, EMP class object. Now let's close this edit from tag. After the button control, then we require one new table. This table contains a class called, I'm adding a Bootstrap class table. Inside this table I'm adding tr, td, employee name, td, input type is equals to text, placeholder, enter EMP name, and we need to bind the data EC object dot EMP name. Now the second one is the email. Enter email, dot email. The last one is a salary. Enter salary, object dot salary. That's it. We have added the designing part. Now let's check the output. We need to change the title also. Employee table. Now let's run this project. Add new record. Let's enter the new employee details. Charan at gmail.com. Salary is 50,000. Before save this record, let's check this table in PostgreSQL database. I'm executing this command again. Right now this table contains 0 rows. Let's insert the record, save. Let's check in the database table, execute. Oops, something went wrong. Stop. So this one, the button type is a submit. Make sure the button type is submit because we are submitting the data. And also here, once the record is inserted, I want to display the records in the table. Let's add this code here also. Now let's check the output again on this application. Add record. The employee name is Charan at gmail.com and salary is 35,000. Click save. So here the employee record has been inserted and here the employee record Charan is inserted successfully. Let's check in our database table also. Execute. So here we got the Charan details. Now let's add one new button controls to this table, edit and delete. Switch over to the coding part. Here I'm adding one TD. This one is the edit. The class I'm adding button primary for the edit, and the next button is for the delete. Class and button, I'm adding the button class is delete. Let's check the output after adding these button controls, how it looks. So here we got the edit and delete button controls. Let's insert new record, Jack at gmail.com, 12,000. Save. So here we got the Jack records. Now now let's implement the edit functionality. When a user clicks the edit button, I want to fetch that particular employee records and display on the pop-up window. Then we can able to update the records. Let's do that one also first. Stop debugging. Come to the bottom. To get the particular selected employee details, I'm adding one more function called get emp details. This is a function name. Inside this function, when a user clicks the edit button, I want to show the pop-up. So pop-up is equals to true. Then here I'm adding emp class. I'm creating an object ec edit. Here ec object is equals to ec edit. This object I'm adding here. Now let's add this function here. At on click is equals to, here I'm adding one function. Inside this function I'm adding get emp details. In this get emp details, the details we are fetching from this variable item. That's it. Let's check the output from this application. let's get the Jack details. Click edit. So here we got the employee name Jack. Close this one. Now if we want to get the Charan details, click the edit Charan. Now once we get a particular employee details, now we need to update that record. So let's do that one also. Stop debugging. The update functionality I'm adding in this same insert record function. Variable update emp details is equals to false if ec object dot emp id is greater than 0, which means once we get the record of the selected employee, update emp details is equals to, I'm calling that service dot update record ec object. Then once the record is updated, I want to close a pop-up. Pop-up is equals to false. Else part. In the else part, I want to insert the new record. That's it. Let's check the output. Run this application. Now let's modify the Jack details. Click edit. The Jack name, instead of Jack, I'm adding Peter. And click save. See here, the Jack has become to Peter. Let's check in our database also. Run this application. So here we got the Peter. Again, let's change the email ID also of this Peter at hotmail.com. Save. So here we got a new email ID for the Peter. We'll check in our database also. Right now this Peter email ID is ja@gmail.com. Now let's execute this command. See here we got the new update email ID at hotmail.com. Now the last one, the delete functionality. Let's do that one also. Stop debugging. To delete the record, wipe del emp is a function name. Let's call the class emp class ec_del variable result is equals to service dot delete record ec.del object. Then we need to clear the table. So ec list, this object I'm adding, ec list dot clear method, ec list, and once we clear the list table, I want to display ec list is equals to new update table. Let's add this function here. At on click between double quotes, I'm adding this function name item. That's it, we have done the complete coding part. Now it's time to check the final output. Run this application. And here we got the final output. Right now in this table contains two records, Charan and Peter. If you check in our database, there is two records only, Charan and Peter. Let's insert a new record, ben b@gmail.com. The salary is 8,000. Click save. So here the Ben details is inserted successfully. Let's check in our the PostgreSQL database also. Right now this table contains two records. Let's execute this command. We got a new record called Ben is inserted successfully. Let's check the edit functionality. I want to edit the salary of this Charan is 50,000. Save. See, the Charan details has been updated successfully. Let's check in our database table also. So 50,000. Let's delete the record. Let's delete the record Ben. See, Ben has been deleted successfully. Let's check the output in our SQL Server database also. See, there is no Ben here. Delete one more record. This time I want to delete edit Peter delete. See, the Peter has been deleted successfully. We'll check in our database also. Right now we got the Peter in our table. When I execute, there is no Peter in our table. That's it. In this video tutorial, I have explained how to implement the CRUD functionality, creating, reading, updating and deleting functionality in PostgreSQL database using Blazor application with Bootstrap modal pop-up. Thanks for watching and please subscribe my channel.